Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas, on Monday, February the 23rd, and welcome to our commentary. As we like to do once a week, we'll be chatting with our good friend Bill Katz up in the wonderful state of New York. Hi, Bill. Welcome. It's always great to have you.
Well, thank you very much, Silvio. We are inundated with snow here in New York. We did not get the worst of it where we are, which is about 20 miles north of New York City. But New York City itself was hit pretty badly. I haven't seen a blizzard like this in years. Um,
Yes, that's what I hear. And in fact, I've got some questions to ask you about that because
mhm.
the new mayor of New York City is being tested very quickly
Yes,
by Mother Nature and also financial nature too as well. But um, before we get into that story about the weather and some of the other current events, I just wanted to bring this up because I know you being an old Brooklyn Dodgers fan and me being a big history of a big fan of baseball history. I noticed that on this day in history, 1960, that they started the demolition, as they call these things, of the old Ebbets Field. And
mm,
in fact, there's a almost sad picture of Joe Campanella. Was it Joe Campanella, the catcher who
Roy.
got hurt? Roy Campanella,
Yes,
who got hurt in that accident. So he's sitting
yes,
in a wheelchair
yes.
watching the demolition. And I mean, they brought down one of the landmarks of baseball.
That's right.
And do you remember any of that?
Oh,
And
sure,
and
of course.
any reaction at the time that you can share?
Well, yeah. Actually, I was in college when the stadium was demolished. But in 1957, the Dodgers did what was considered to be sinful. They left New York. They left New York because they got a better deal in Los Angeles, and the city of New York, the government of New York, botched everything in terms of trying to keep the Dodgers in New York, and frankly, at times didn't even show that much interest in it. And so they left. It was a horrible day when they left. This is something that wasn't supposed to happen because the Dodgers symbolized New York City.
Right.
I mean, it was this, Brooklyn, of course, in particular, was Dodger Town. We root for the Dodgers and for the United States military, and that was it. And it got so bad that people began to say, Pete Hamill was a wonderful journalist, said that in Brooklyn, there were three people who were hated: Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, and Walter O'Malley. Well, Walter O'Malley being the
The
person
owner, yeah.
who, yeah, the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, and I think that was true. And tearing down the stadium, I mean, for goodness sake, they could have done so many things with that
Right.
stadium, but it was all business, all real estate, and all business, and it showed the weakness of the Wagner administration in New York, and the weakness of the machine politics that ran the city.
Mhm.
And I point out that the New York Giants were still there, but the New
Mhm.
York Giants then followed the Dodgers to California, and for all practical purposes, the whole regime of baseball in New York was over. We have of course, we had and still have the Yankees, but what made the regime great was the fact that we had three major league teams,
Right. Yeah, and the
and we
great
had
rivalry between the Giants and the Dodgers.
yes, and
I mean,
between the
they used to play 7 minutes apart from each other, the ballparks. I mean, where
that's
you
right.
cross, I think you cross the bridge, right? And you were in, or you go under a tunnel or something to go from Ebbets Field to Polo Grounds. But to me, it was sad. The last, I went to New York. Well, a few years ago, we went to New York on a family trip, and we were in Brooklyn. We were on that famous Brooklyn Bridge,
Yes.
and the as the Uber car was taking us from here to there, or the taxi or whatever was taking us from here to there, I said to the driver, "If we go by the old Ebbets Field, tell me, because I want you to stop. I want to see." And of course, it wasn't a field now. It was. I knew that. I mean, I knew that it wasn't a
Yes.
field anymore, but I wanted to see the space, and
Yes.
it's an apartment building called Ebbets Apartments or something.
That's
That's what
right.
they became. And I just thought that was so sad. Even
It,
though I didn't have an emotional connection to that team, I just being a student of history, I mean, that's Ebbets Field was such a well. Anyway, what can I tell you? I thought you would have a memory of that, so
Oh,
I asked
absolutely. Well,
you about it. Yeah,
these were the days when you wanted to go to a baseball game, to a Major League Baseball game. You often had to go to the stadium in a previous day and buy the tickets there.
right.
I mean, that's what we did. My mother got into a car. We drove from Long Island to Ebbets Field on a day when the team was playing somewhere else, and we bought our tickets at the box office. And if you got a good guy at the box office, and you were young enough and enthusiastic enough, they would sometimes let you go out onto the field or into the stands and see where your seats were.
Right.
And we were that was we got that accommodation, and we were the only people for a few minutes in Ebbets Field. It was an incredible experience.
Well, and to think that the Dodgers today, Bill, now in LA, of course, have a payroll of $350 million. That's their payroll.
Yes.
Just really shows you how times have changed, but then also has the price of tickets changed.
Yeah. Well, at that time,
Yeah,
a box seat, which was right down, literally on the field, was
right.
$3.25,
Yeah,
and
incredible.
that was for the rich people.
That was that's right. The rich people, the old bleacher seats were 50 cents.
Oh yeah.
I remember those in Milwaukee, actually going to the old county stadium and paying 50 cents
The
for a bleacher ticket. Yeah. And
the
that was in
great
the early 70s.
Yes. Well, the great experience in New York when Ebbets Field existed was the Subway Series between the New York, usually the New York Yankees and the Brooklyn Dodgers,
Right.
and that it was called the Subway Series. You got on the subway and you went between the stadiums. Now, Ebbets Field was the smallest house in the major leagues. Yankee Stadium was the biggest.
Right.
So somebody playing in the World Series would go from the smallest stadium to the largest stadium within one day. And of course, it was an entirely different game. I
Right.
mean, in Ebbets Field, you literally were up against the players. If a foul ball was hit, you were sitting there in the stands saying hello
Right.
to Billy Cox or to Gil Hodges, who ran to get it. In Yankee Stadium, I didn't go to Yankee Stadium often, but you were in the stands, and Joe DiMaggio was a dot somewhere out in center field.
Right.
If
Right.
you had
Yeah.
binoculars, you might be able to see him.
That's right. All number 5, wearing number 5 for the
Yes.
Yankees out
Mhm.
there. But I mean, it was such an amazing time for baseball. I would encourage anybody. I know that Ken Burns is a controversial fellow these days because of the documentary that he's just finished on the American Revolution, and I know some people he's controversial in some circles, but the documentary that he did on baseball was pretty good.
Yeah.
And chapter 7 is the one about baseball in New York, and that's where he gets into the rivalry that you're talking about, and he gets into when they left the Dodgers left town, and how that crushed Brooklyn. But anyway, on this day 66 years ago, they tore down or began tearing down the old Ebbets Field. What a tragedy that must have been for everybody who was there, Bill.
Well, yes, it was, because we remembered the old days when I
Yes.
think each league had 8 teams,
That's right.
and a Western trip to people in New York ended in St. Louis.
That's right. Well, that's exactly right. That's what the West was for Major League Baseball. That is.
Yes.
Now, it's a shame that the Dodgers were the ones who ended up, paying the price for this. But what I mean is that the baseball had to go to the West Coast because it was booming. So eventually, somebody was going to go out there, and somebody said, "Well, let's bring the Dodgers to LA." But LA needed a team by the mid '50s because the city was booming, and so was San Francisco and everything else. But anyway, speaking of New York, Bill, I know the weather is interesting out in New York right now, but so is the political career of your mayor, who seems to be getting tested so much.
Yes.
Whether it's Mother Nature, whether it's I guess the finances of the city, and also I guess he wants people to pick up snow, and
Yes.
it's become a bit of a controversy. Maybe he didn't explain it correctly, but the way it came across was you need you need an ID to work picking snow in New York, but you don't need an ID to vote. That's kind of
Yes.
how it came across. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think it was correct that there's some sort of a volunteer group now that picks up garbage and old snow, and he insisted that they have ID cards so that they could show that they were eligible to do this in New York. And this is from a man whose political party is against voter ID. I mean,
You can't make this up.
no,
I mean, if they put this on Saturday Night Live, it would be a perfect sketch.
it certainly would. And he got up there and clearly didn't know what he was talking about, because behind him are all the people who in New York who actually do pick up snow and actually do patrol the streets in a snowstorm. And they were just kind of looking at him as if to say, you don't even live here. I mean,
Yeah, what a joke. I mean, this guy is turning out to be, but somebody says maybe this is what the city needed to find out what socialism is really like, Bill.
yes, yes. Well, he's getting ready for a new influx of illegals, and they will take care of the illegals famously as they did before. I
Right.
mean, we had illegals living in New York City's best hotels, and I guess he plans to do that again. He has not made a great impression on the city.
No.
To make a great impression on New York takes a little time, first of all, and he got into office because the New York voting system for mayor
Right.
is so ridiculous. And I mean, you can get elected mayor of New York with 5 votes, as long as they were in the right place.
Right.
And people are not raving. People are not saying, "Oh, I can't wait for him to get into the big stuff." There isn't going to be any big stuff in New York if he continues to be mayor, because the city doesn't have any money.
Right. Well, that's the problem, and the governor has already told him that she's not playing with him, or she's not playing ball, and so he's not going to get any money from Albany. So I don't know. He threatens that they're going to have to cut back police officers, I hear.
Yes, that's in his new budget. They're cutting about 5,000 police officers. I don't know if he has in this the support of the police commissioner, who was a leftover, and by the way, an excellent police commissioner.
Right.
That's
She
why
is,
she's
yeah.
left over. People insisted that she be kept on, but I don't know how long she could stay if things are going to be done like that. He should, of all the times to do it, at a time of great tension, to try to cut the size of the police department.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, he's playing with fire,
Yep.
unfortunately. And you cut back the police force. That's a huge cut. That's like that's almost 17-20% of the force, probably.
Well,
They have 38,000 sold. I mean,
Yes.
38. I've read that it's
Yes.
38,000 police officers. So you
Yes.
cut back 7. That's almost 1 out of every 6.
Well, yes. Well, I don't know if it's going to actually happen. I don't
Okay.
think he has the ability to do it himself. And the fact is that one of the most interesting things in New York right now is that there is a growing cluster of reasonable Democrats who are making their appearance now in New York, including the head of the city council, who is from Queens. She's from the same area that AOC is from,
Right.
but she is a moderate, traditional New York Democrat, and she got elected head of the city council. There are others who are coming up. There are several members of Congress who are going to be challenged by moderates. And this may be the best thing that ever happened to the Democratic Party, because they are showing that they do have people who are mature and knowledgeable who can run the city, even though they haven't been nominated in recent years. The nomination process is a farce, but at least they show that there are people in New York who can run New York, as we've always had people who've run New York. But the city itself is in such terrible shape. I mean, you go down big avenues like Second Avenue, and every second store is closed. They
wow.
couldn't afford it, or there was too high a crime rate, or they couldn't get insurance. And I have no idea what's going to happen to the big department stores, but I can't see them staying in a city under those circumstances.
No,
Because
and no, you're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish. I
no,
was gonna
they leave periodically. We've had, I mean, we used to have Gimbel's in New York,
right
which was a big and a famous store.
department store. Yeah.
Yes, and when all is said and done, it's going to be about money, and the city doesn't have any. The state, the state really controls the budget, but the governor of New York has to answer to people who don't happen to live in New York City, and that's a big state out there. And she is not a fan of the new mayor, uh, but there's nothing much she can do about it. I mean, she got into office when the old mayor, who was not De Blasio, but well, one of those guys, had to leave the office under bad conditions, and she was the deputy, the assistant, or whatever they called it, the
I think they call him lieutenant governor.
lieutenant governor.
Yeah,
That's
that's it.
exactly right.
Yeah.
She was a lieutenant governor, and she became governor. I mean, it was never intended to be, and now she's running for re-election, and she may have a tough time. There is a possibility that New York may elect a Republican governor.
And the fellow that I've heard is from from that county right next to New York City, right?
Yes, he's from Nassau County.
Yeah, Nassau County. Yeah,
And he's apparently a very good man, and very articulate and moderate. And the Republicans can do it if they want to, if they want to. But the Republican Party in New York State seems to believe that you engage in government before and after the golf game.
Right.
You know, I mean, they still have people from the Nixon administration
Yes.
in that party.
Well, the son, Nixon's son-in-law, isn't
Yes.
he the one actually? Or maybe I'm wrong, but the one married to Tricia,
Yes.
Christopher Cox, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's the head of the party or something. He's a good man. I don't mean to make fun of him, but not exactly the kind of guy who's gonna, create a lot of turnout. But they have so many problems there that maybe this is the opportunity. I hope you're right. And they also need a dynamic candidate. And this fellow, the county executive that we're talking about, I've heard him speak. He's a pretty good, pretty strong figure.
Yeah.
And he represents an area that at least seems to be doing better in New York.
Yes, and it's big. It's a big county. We used to live in Nassau County.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting race. It may be a very close race. I don't think things can ever be in New York where they were at one time. And it's possible that we could have some real trouble in New York because a lot of people are very angry.
Yes, I think that's true. I think that comes across when you see the interviews with people. Well, we're going to have to wait, I guess, another week to know what's going to happen with Iran. What I'm hearing now, Bill, just watching the news and all that kind of stuff, what I'm hearing is that the military plan is ready, but what is not ready, or at least they're not 100% sure of, is the transition. They want to make sure that you go in full force, you cut the snake's head off, and then there has to be something in place to run the country.
Yes.
And that's the part that, as I read in the news or hear in the news, they're not there yet in whatever they're planning. The military plan is ready to go, but it's the transition. That's what I'm hearing, Bill. Is that what you're hearing?
Yes, one of the concerns they have is after they do all this shooting, and the old regime is destroyed, what will the new regime be like? We make an assumption that the people of Iran will continue their revolution, which and in which many thousands were just killed by the government, murdered simply for demonstrating in the streets. An awful regime, and we could have a period of a vacuum. We could have other countries from the Middle East moving in with their influence and with their money and trying basically, if not to take over the government, at least be the power behind the government. and get their way, and we will find that the people of the country are no better served than they are today. So the president obviously wants a clean hit. He knows he has to go in with a very substantial air attack because are not going to have any American boots on the ground, and the air attack will have to basically be so strong as to eliminate the government. Now, there could be some arrangement made where the Ayatollah and all his friends can get safe passage. That can be arranged with an Arab country where they're given a chance to leave the country, not be arrested, and be taken by another country, which can then, I guess, find them a home. I mean, they can contact a real estate office and go to the real estate agent for deposed dictators, and I think they have one, and they'll be finished, and a new government can come in. The people who are beating the drums now are the people from the old regime that was deposed in the 1970s, the Shah's regime,
Right.
And at least they know how to run a country. I mean,
well, they did a pretty good job.
They did a pretty, yeah.
I mean, that was a much better run country then than it is today. I mean,
it was also very
the people pro-American. That's correct.
Yeah. People of Iran are very pro-American. It's the government that is. I mean, when the first Ayatollah came in, the fools of the American press were describing him like a god who's coming to save his country. He was nothing more than a hack religious politician.
Sure.
And he destroyed everything that had been built up, including the relationships of Iran with a number of very important countries like Israel. Right. They had an excellent relationship with Israel, and that relationship we hope is reborn, because if it is included in with the allies of the United States, a new Iran could emerge that could be very, very good for us.
Right. And the Iran that I remember under the Shah was not invading countries.
No.
Was not financing terrorists. They got along with Israel. I mean, or at least they coexisted.
Oh, they got along very well. You can go to Ben Gurion Airport. There were Iranian airliners there all the time.
And that's kind of what you need. You got to get back to that, but you got to get rid of these guys. By the way, maybe there is a place in Russia, somewhere in Russia, that where you can recreate an Iranian desert, and yes. they can build their mansion there, Bill.
Yes,
and they can pretend that they're back in wherever. I don't know. Maybe that's what they need to do. They need to recreate an Iranian desert for the
deposed.
The deposed.
Yes,
and they need to recreate a tropical space for Castro.
Yes,
and then Russia will become the home of deposed dictators.
That's right, and the deposed dictators can form their own country and be admitted to the UN.
That's it. And they'll probably get a seat at the UN, and they'll probably get a seat in the Human Rights Commission.
Absolutely, why not? I mean, let's do it. Let's do it again.
They'll call it the Free Republic of Iran.
That's exactly right. Yes,
and it'll have a population of 30 people. But it'll be the Free Republic of Iran, and they will have a seat in the UN, and they'll give the speech every year that they give in September. But anyway, so I think that's where I see this Iran situation. I think the military is ready to go, but the transition isn't quite ready yet, and that's okay with me, because the last thing you want is the bad transition, Bill.
That's right. But on the other hand, he has to move quickly. He can't just go on and on and on, because he has made pledges. The president has a mouth. Sometimes it's not used too wisely, and it can't just go on and on. Basically, if he cannot get rid of this regime in the next few months, he's going to be seen as a bumbling president who muffed the biggest opportunity the country has had in international relations in years. No country has had the position we have now of having an enemy that is falling apart already, even before the war. I mean, they're so weak that people hate them. Their economy is collapsing. And if he cannot get rid of that regime, he will not go down as a great president.
Yeah,
He
he
may go.
could.
Yeah,
He'll look weak. You're right. I think I agree with you there, which is why I think he is going to act. But the timing, he knows more about the timing than I do because he knows obviously what's going on with the transition much better than I do. Well, Bill, before we talk about the State of the Union, how about that hockey team
wow.
winning the gold medal? And by the way, the Canadian team is absolutely great. It was a great game. It was really
Yeah,
a great game. Two very good teams. But I love the patriotic nature of these hockey players.
yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah,
Isn't that great?
absolutely, absolutely. Not like the football players we have here who make a political statement every time they come out on the field.
Right. No, these guys decided that, you know what, we kind of like living in the United States and we're going to represent the United States correctly. And they even spoke with President Trump, who invited them to the State of the Union, which I think is kind of cool. All those Democrats who are not going to be there, I guess they're not going to get to cheer the member of the hockey team who lives in their district, Bill.
Well, I heard today that the women's hockey team declined the invitation.
Right.
So
That's something about other
they had other, yeah, yes,
obligations.
they had other obligations, like going to somebody else's State of the Union.
Right.
You know, maybe they found a better one.
Well, I heard that too, and some of it I thought it was a stupid explanation from the ladies, frankly, because if you have an invitations to the State of the Union and you got to be at work on Tuesday morning and you call your boss and you say, look, I can't start working again today because I got to go to the State of the Union. I would think most companies in the U.S. would give you that time off, Bill.
Yes. Well, the companies in the U.S. can be very strange until they're forced to do something, but we'll see. I mean, I think that certainly the men's hockey team, I'm sure, will honor the invitation. It may not be for the State of the Union because they only have a few days, but for some other occasion, a greeting at the White House, something.
Yeah.
But they'll be there. I don't know who was invited to the State of the Union.
There's going to be a lot of empty chairs this year because a lot of Democrats are going to go to the People's State of the Union. So I guess the Constitution calls for two messages. The first one is in the constitutional message, and the other one is the people's message.
Oh, yes.
Apparently was created by somebody. That one Constitution I didn't read, but I mean, with all due respect, Bill, isn't that stupid?
It is
of
foolish.
These people. I mean, if you don't like Trump, just sit there and be diplomatic and go home.
Yes. They have built in nowadays in the State of the Union an opportunity for the opposition to reply. At the end, and they've been doing it for years, and we haven't had a revolution. So why don't they just stick with the program? Nobody actually cares about the State of the Union speech. It is always a president's dullest speech, and in the old days, the speech was not even spoken. It was simply delivered to the Congress as per the requirement of the Constitution, and nobody cared. Maybe people probably never even read it.
No, I think you're right. I think it became a big deal with television, obviously.
Yes.
I don't remember who was the first president to deliver it on television because it used to be, I remember that it was at noon in the afternoon for a while, and then they moved it to prime time. With television. Maybe
now it's a big television deal, and the president gets to look up into the gallery and say, "See, sitting right up there in the gallery is Mrs. Jones, who's an old friend of mine. Let me tell you some story about Mrs. Jones and her wonderful husband, who gave my party $6 million." I mean,
no, and of course this year. As I understand, and I saw the news earlier today, that the hockey team is back in the U.S. and they were taking a plane to Washington. So maybe they are going to be there. I don't know. I cannot confirm it. I just heard that.
I hope so.
But can you imagine all those guys sitting up there in the gallery wearing their USA jersey and all those Democrats over at the Capitol freezing to death at the Lincoln Memorial? freezing to death.
Yes.
And most of the country wondering, why are you people out here when it's so cold, you know?
Yes.
But to me, that is so, it speaks volumes, Bill, about who the Democrat Party is. You would think there'd
Well,
be an adult in that party who would say, hey, folks, this is going to look stupid for most
yes.
people. We need to be in there. And if you don't like what he said, you're going to get plenty of chances after the speech to tell your favorite reporter whatever you want to tell them, Bill.
Yes, that's right. And in 2 days, the speech will be forgotten anyway.
That's right. No, you're right.
But
Nobody
but
remembers those speeches.
right. And look, the question has to be asked: is there really a Democratic Party any longer?
Good question.
And I think that one of the things, and another question that has to be asked is: isn't it time for a third party? I
Mhm.
mean, both parties are look so foolish right now, mostly the Democratic Party. But if we had a third moderate party, they could at least, I would imagine in their first attempt out, because they'd have plenty of money, they'd probably get about 20% of the vote. I remember Ross Perot, when he ran, he got 20% of the vote. That makes them an immediate national force. And I would imagine that it would lead to the collapse of the Democratic Party.
Well, what I think needs to happen, it may take a few years for it to happen, is they have to start, this third party has to start growing at the state level.
Yes.
So if you had, let's say, a third party option in California or anywhere really, then the party could start then grooming independent candidates who are governors.
Yes.
And who could maybe run as independents. Because right now, about the only thing you would get is a disenchanted Democrat or Republican, and not. It would be great if they had a sitting governor, let's say, who was an independent.
Yes.
Running. I think that might make his chances of winning.
Well, they could have a sitting Democrat who will run as the Democrat, and if he gets the nomination, say, I am a Democrat, but my first obligation is to the country, and in that sense, I am an independent. And he and basically create the image of a man who is larger than his party, and those images can be created, and he might start acting that way. Who knows? Yeah. You know, the 2028 presidential election is only 2 years away.
Right. It's amazing.
Yes, I mean, after the election this year, that election campaign for 2028 will begin immediately for the nominations. And this year, I mean, the way the pundits at CNN are putting it, it should be a landslide victory for the Democrats. I don't think it will be. I think they may win the House, but I think that the Senate will stay there, and I think that it will be a fairly typical midterm election.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think the out party usually does well in these midterms, so the advantage would be to the Democrats. But if anybody can blow that, it's the Democrats.
Oh yeah, yes.
So I wouldn't, at this point in time, a party that does something stupid like having a separate State of the Union address is so ridiculous that I think for a lot of people, they just come across that way. And maybe that's the best thing Trump has going for him, is that he's running against Democrats. I'll put it
that is absolutely true, that he is running against probably the most inept political party. I mean, this is the party that almost gave us President
Kamala Harris.
President Kamala. We almost had President Kamala. Wouldn't that have been wonderful during a national emergency? President Kamala would get the phone call at 3:00 in the morning and say, "Wake me at 10."
Right. Wake me at 10, and I'll hear your point of view then.
You're right.
Yes. Well, Bill, as always, it's a great pleasure to have you, and keep us informed of that storm nearby.
Yes.
But I'm also very interested in knowing from you next time we chat, who is going to be picking up the snow or shoveling the snow.
Yes.
In New York, because as I understand, a lot of people are, I guess they cannot get voter ID. So I would assume if they cannot get a voter ID because it's discriminatory or John Crow or whatever, Jim Crow, or
Jim
whatever.
Crow.
Yeah, then
They're calling it Jim Crow 2.0.
yes, if Jim Crow 2.0 prevents people from getting a voter ID to vote, then I would assume that Jim Crow 3.0 would prevent people from getting an ID to pick up snow.
Yes, yes. Well, let's I don't know what this mayor is going to do. I think he's going to take Yankee Stadium and establish a Palestinian state there. I think that would probably be
Right. They can call it the house.
the
What was
house
the
that
name of that?
Mamdani built.
That's right. The house. But no, but what was the guy that in Hamas, the leader who was always on the news, the one who died, whose wife.
Yeah, Yasser Arafat.
Yes, they'll call it the
Yes.
house that Arafat built.
Right.
That's what they'll rename Yankee Stadium. Yeah. Anyway, well, Bill, have a great day and take good care and stay away from the bad weather. And we will talk to you the next time. And thanks for your time as always.
My pleasure, Silvio.
Okay, have a good day. Our good friend Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda, I always chat with him on Mondays, or try to at least on Mondays, to talk about a lot of things. But a lot of interesting stuff going on. The State of the Union, if you haven't heard, there's talk that the Democrats are going to have an alternative State of the Union, which is honestly, that is one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard. But we are talking about the Democrats. Well, thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.